We're talking acreage houses. You want to have an on-site inspection. We're out here just around kind of the north of Edmonton, and it's about a half-hour drive away. Now, a lot of estimators, what they're going to do to save themselves drive time is they're going to take pictures off of a satellite, like a Google Earth thing, and measure the roof. And you know what? You can actually get a pretty accurate measurement that way. But the problem is, there's two things that come into play. One, they might not have updated photos, right? Google Earth, that's where they get the map tiles from. They're not always updated as you get out of the city, right? So they're not always fully accurate, is because then there could be additions on the property, okay? Or changes to the property around it, the landscaping and whatnot. The other problem inherent with the satellite measurement is that it's designed for speed, right? You can do realistically 5 quotes a day. Every quote takes an hour and a half. So me or Chris, right? If we do an hour and a half plus your drive time, right? 5 estimates is a 10-hour workday, right? So you really can't do much more than 5, right? If you're doing them by the satellite, you can do 15, easy. Now, the challenges that come with that is if you're doing 15 estimates, you're not taking the time to really analyze the pictures. You're more or less just looking at the roof measurements, right? Now, there's all kinds of considerations that you don't get. So for example, right, when you're looking up straight down from a satellite, you might not notice that there's ridge vent right here, right? And if you look, they mixed the vents. So originally they had these vents and then they added these vents. So this is not a homeowner fault thing. This is a whoever gave them the advice thing. What's happening is the air is circulating between those vents and not circulating any air from the bottom. So essentially that vent is exchanging air with that ridge vent, and the air is just going like this, right? And it's not pulling any air from the bottom, and that's causing the roof to wear out way faster than it should, right? You're not going to get a true grasp of that from the ground. The other thing, when you're out in acreage, you have a lot of these satellite dishes. Sometimes people are using them, not using them. They had an internet from one company before, they canceled it. The internet company comes and gets their remote, but they leave that thing because they don't want to leave holes behind, right? There's other things you got to consider. So as you can see, that slope of the ground right there. So there's all kinds of grading things that happen when you build a house out in the country. See how the water is pooling over there, right? So then we think, okay, well, where are we going to put our dump trailers, right? And load the roof from, right? If we drive over here, see that black spot? That's a tire rut, right? If I put a dump trailer or a roof loading truck there, it's going to destroy the ground. But we do know that the customer has a water truck come in. You can see a little white pipe over there. So if the customer's bringing a water truck in to fill the water tank, you're not going to see that from a satellite. But now we know that this part of the driveway is currently sustaining a heavy water truck on a regular basis. So we know that we can put our dump trailer there. We can load the roof from there, right? So we need to have all these things taken into consideration, right? You also want that on-site inspection because we want to actually take the time to look at how are the valleys functioning, right? On this roof, we're suggesting metal valleys, right? We can also see stuff like this. You wouldn't see this from straight down. From straight down, from a satellite, you see this, right? But look at in here, right? So this is an acreage house, right? So first of all, we need to extend these downspouts because look at how badly it's wearing the shingle. There's nothing left here. It's just it's just basically just a felt mat, right? We also have to make sure, how are we going to nail in there, right? Look how tight that is. So we have to bring what's called a palm nailer, a small palm nailer. That allows us to nail in really tight areas, right? But you need a smaller compressor to run them because the big compressor that runs all the roofing guns, you got 6-7 guns running off that. That's 110 PSI, big, powerful compressor, right? Those little palm nailers, it's the little rubber seals inside, they break if you run them at 100. So you should run them at 80, right? Well, now if you got one compressor running at 110, are you going to shut down the entire roofing crew for that? No. So then you have to plan ahead, bring a small compressor. If you don't plan ahead, if you find out, if the roofing crew comes out and sees this and they didn't bring a palm nailer from the shop, or theirs is broken and they didn't know maybe they should make sure it's working before they came out here, do you really think they're going to turn around and drive a half hour back to town, half hour back to wherever the shop is in town to get their palm nailer? Or do you think they're just going to glue in it with PL Premium or caulking or roof, some kind of roof cement? The other interesting thing that I caught out here was right down here. So A lot of you know about my passion for drip edge and how it's not technically building code to put it on, or it's not required, but we don't have drip edge, right? Now, what happened is this was a decent attempt to try and seal the shingle or seal the gutter to the back. I haven't seen this before, but it's actually a common sense attempt at addressing it, which is where you would put caulking in here to effectively try and stop the water from getting dripping in behind there. Like, this is like a homeowner pass and a roofer fail, as I say it, right? If homeowner did it, that's a pass. If a roofer did it, that's a fail, right? But it's not protecting the roof right here, right? So then you get the water going in here, then it goes in to your soffit, right? And then eventually it works its way back into the wall, right? Because it'll run down here, and then down there, right? And that's how you start seeing your stucco wear off. So these are the things that you can't catch from a satellite that are going to help you address actually making it so that your roofer, when we come to your house, right, you want to make sure that your roofer is taking all these things into account in their estimate, right? Yes, does it mean that we got Chris running around measuring the roof by hand? That takes a lot more time, for sure, right? But the thing is that you're the homeowner, right? I know that, like, everybody in Canada, we're super polite and all, but you need to know that your estimator spent more than 12 minutes working on your quote for your house, right? I appreciate if you want to respect my time and let me do your roof estimate from my living room table, but it's a serious business. You should only have to do this once in your lifetime, right? If you're using the new kinds of shingles that are out there, good shingles, you should only have to do this once in the lifetime of your home. So do it right the first time, right? Once again, no downspout extensions. So then you see shingles wearing out really quickly, right? Look at all the granules building up. He actually had an issue where the granules were building up and it was flowing back on the roof. See, this is that previous roofing or satellite install, right? There's so many things to consider on an acreage home. What I'm actually going to recommend on this house is, instead of ridge vent, right, or the button vents, I'm actually going to suggest solar attic vents, right? But it all comes down to budget and, you know, how long we want to live in the home. Homeowner plans on living in the home for a long time, so it's a big deal, right? Make sure your roofer is doing an on-site inspection. Sorry, I'm huffing and puffing, but it's just like, it's like running up and down a two-story stairs 13 times. Anyways, I'm going back to helping Chris here because poor guy's doing all the measurements by himself.